Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Skills Go Up Devlog. This is episode 7 in the series, and it's been a full week since the last episode, which is an eternity for this series that was used to daily or every other day releases, but I can't keep that up forever, especially now that I'm actually back at work. But anyway, that's not to say this wasn't an extremely productive week. It was more productive than I even expected. As I said, I spent most of the first few days of the week working on the planned chunk editor, map editor nonsense, external map editor. And I'm happy to say it was a complete success. It works. If I press F7, we have the chunk debug mode. So it shows all the currently loaded chunks. It shows the enemies with lines pointing to what chunk they're actually from. Because if you have an enemy that is out of its chunk and you unload that chunk and the enemy's still in the other chunk, then you have a problem. Because if that chunk reloads, what do you do with the enemy that's already there? You could keep track of everything, but it's complicated. It's easier for a simple game like this to just keep the chunk loaded until both chunks are far enough away. So that's the basic idea there. And it's not complete. I still need to do some work on like what happens if you add items to a chunk. Like if you drop an item, which we don't have item dropping yet, but I mean enemies drop items. What if you kill a boss, it drops an item, but then you die? Your item would just disappear. So I've got some things to work on with the chunk system. It's not perfect, but I'm very happy with it. It's designed to be kind of a universal system, hopefully. So in theory, any game I want to use a chunk system in, I can use this. I can change the size of chunks. I can tweak the format. It's just JSON, basically, so it can be changed in anything. It should hopefully allow me to make maps as big as I want. Well beyond the room limit of GameMaker. Just have a massive, massive overworld, and it'll be amazing. And at some point in the future, when I'm happy with how polished the map editor is, because I want this thing to be professional in terms of quality, I'll make a video on it as well. But that'll probably be a ways away still, because I mean, I don't know if I'm ever going to release it. It would be cool, but we'll see. Anyway, let's get that graphical nonsense off the screen. Now, like I said, though, I spent a few days working on that, and I've gone back and tinkered on it pretty much every day, but it's not been my main focus after those first few days. And just throughout the entire week, I've just been adding random ideas, upgrading old systems, just improving the game in a variety of ways, and also just adding my silly nonsensical ideas that happen throughout the time. So, in no particular order, because my changelog is completely, just completely useless. It's just a list of things in the order I added them. But the first thing I added was the chocolatize spell. It converts titanium into chocolate. The idea being, I wanted ball bearings of every type, and I didn't know what to do with titanium ball bearings, so now you can turn them into chocolate. And it's weird because I feel like I mentioned this in the last episode, but it's on the list, so I assume I didn't. But anyway, yeah, you can make chocolate truffles from that. And I also added cheese balls, which you can make by cooking cheese in the ball bearing mold. Not sure what to do with cheese balls yet, but they exist. I thought it was a funny idea. Speaking of that, we did add the concept of locked recipes. So yeah, we have two concepts, unlockable recipes and secret recipes. Unlockable means that you have to learn the recipe before you can use it. It'll appear in the list. Secret is the same concept, except it doesn't appear in the list. So it lets me have like quests that reward crafting recipes the player didn't know about, which would be a fun little secret, I think. Definitely something we needed. All right, so that's that. Let me get away from these enemies. So next, we can go over to our equipment. I have in my inventory this bronze sword. You can see it is a bronze sword +1, because now equipment of any type can have tiers. There's no limit to the maximum amount of tiers, but I have to define stats for each one, so I mean, I'm not just going to mathematically say you can upgrade a bronze sword to +100 and it'll be the strongest sword in the game until you make an even stronger sword +100, I guess. But yeah, each weapon and armor will hopefully, at least craftable ones, will hopefully have at least a couple plus tiers that give it better stats. How much better is yet to be decided, but for now we just have some placeholders. And another new stat I added is base damage, which is something that should have existed from the beginning, but didn't, which is just the base damage of the weapon. So that, you know, when you have a bronze sword, it does less damage than an iron sword, which does less damage than a steel sword. Otherwise, it's just your levels making the difference, and that's a bit silly. Although I haven't worked out how strength factors into it. I assume it'll increase your damage somehow, but we don't have any formulas yet for anything, so they're just numbers, placeholder numbers. I'm saving the boring balancing stuff for later. But yes, so you can see this one has higher base damage. It's a pretty cool system. It gives you more to do whenever you're crafting things instead of just making stuff and selling it or throwing it away. You can make it, upgrade it again, and keep it for a little longer. Makes it relevant, makes it fun. Attaches you to your weapons a little. I almost wonder if I should make it where you can name them, but that would probably be a lot of work. Anyway, next up, we need to equip the isopod slingshot because I did a small change. This is nothing too exciting, but yeah. So, normally when you attack with the isopod slingshot, they come back to you, but now there is a 5% chance that they don't. So we'll see how long it takes us to get that 5%. Ah, there we go. Though you can't see it because of his stupid bar. They will walk in a random direction. We'll get another one. Oh, there he is. Yeah, they'll walk in a random direction and just sit there for a while. And, oh, I see. If we target this guy, then we don't see it. Then they disappear. You can pick them up when they're sitting there like that. It's just a way to make it where you might actually have to keep caring about isopods after you get like 20, because otherwise you have 20 isopods. That would be all you'd ever need if they always came back to you, because you can only fire so fast, which means you can only ever have so many walking back to you. It would never need to happen again. So at least this way, there's a chance. The timing will probably get adjusted on having to recatch them. Because I want it where if you're actively playing, you could just keep your favorite isopod forever. Not that there's any difference between them yet. I could add isopod types in the future. I'm not against it, but that is not a current feature of the game. But yeah, that just makes it more of a real weapon with some balance to it instead of the just unlimited damage output nonsense that it would have been before. Next on the list, logs can now have varying sizes. There's no limit. Now they have a progress bar, apparently. I redid progress bars, and apparently I added it to shortcuts on accident. I've been taking a lot of code that was hard-coded and making it into more universal stuff, so I should probably take that away from... I think it's dexterity that controls shortcuts. Yeah, I probably need to take dexterity out of that. But yeah, the idea is that now it can be as short as 1 block long or as long as you want it. You could have it cover the entire map and just be the most ridiculous log shortcut in the world. But yeah, it's pretty cool. I wanted that so that you could maybe like cross a river inside a log or something. Having it be a specified length was very limiting. And there's no reason why it couldn't be longer. Obviously, if we go to actual pixel art, it will have to make a tiling pixel for it, but that's not a big deal. Assuming that everything goes well in terms of art. But next up, so let's get this Kingwood staff back. So I need, where did the other green guy go? No, you. I want you. So we got these guys. So another new item, you might have seen the kite. This is a new concept, a deployable item. It'll stay here for a minute and it attracts enemy attention. So they attack it instead of me because we have a new aggression system where aggression determines what you target, and it works in both directions. So like the player, I made it where the thunder spell automatically targets the kite. Anything else with the player, you can't target the kite. And then the enemies have like 1,000 aggression towards kites and only 100 towards players. So they're always going to attack the kite if they're in range of the kite. But something funny I can do, since we are targeting the kite with our staff, if I fire some lightning at it, it does splash damage to the enemies as long as they're close to it. So it's a little synergy between the two items. So it can protect you, but also if you get a whole bunch of enemies close up to it, it can actually be a weapon. Now in the actual game, it might have to weaken the lightning a bit because it's probably too powerful to do full damage to all of them. But I think it's a pretty neat system. And there it goes. It's been a minute. Yeah, the kite, I just was thinking about kiting enemies and just had the stupid idea to add an actual kite that attracts enemies instead of kiting them the proper way. Yeah, so aggression mechanics. Another part of aggression mechanics, we will need the Conjured Mage. is I made it where the Conjured Mage can be attacked. So where's a guy who actually attacks? I killed everyone, but I can make him aggressive. So yeah, can I get far enough away where they will attack each other? That's the idea. You know, I'll just conjure another one. Oh, come on. It's hard to make it happen organically, but the mage can get attacked by enemies, and he's got an aggression stat of 50, I think. So he has HP now. He does have a lot of HP because I didn't want conjuring to be like you spawn something, it takes 2 hits and it dies. But I did want enemies to where, like, if you spawn a conjured mage and run away, I didn't want them to just sit there and take it. So now they can fight back. It was the big motivating factor besides the kite between redoing aggression mechanics. And I really needed to do that for a while anyway. I'm still working on some ideas of aggression because I want weak enemies to stop being aggressive to you at some point. But I have to work out exactly how we define strength. I don't know if we're going to have a combat level that determines that, or if we'll just do like your maximum hit with your current weapon or something. We'll determine something. Like maybe if you can one hit them, then they don't attack. Anything. I don't know. Anyway, the next thing is rabbits. So up here we have a standard rabbit. We can go ahead and kill him. He drops raw rabbit meat and rabbit fur, as you can see in my inventory. They don't have very special art. They don't really do anything. You can cook the meat. Fur does nothing yet. It'll be for the tailoring skill in the future, but that's not a skill that actually does anything right now. But I did add another rabbit. This is the killer rabbit. You might recognize it from a certain movie. He does these cool little quick hops around and then he attacks you. Plus, I want to unequip my staff real quick, so I do less damage. If you attack him, he hops away and then hops back real quick. Now, his AI is not perfect. He does tend to sometimes just stand there doing nothing. I haven't figured out exactly why yet, but I really like just the idea of there being one of these somewhere in the world, and you just walk by it and then does this quick attack and you freak out, even though it's mostly harmless, because you'll probably run into it at high enough level that it's just doing chip damage to you, essentially. Yeah, it's like, it's broken right now. It'll do that, but it might be attacking it that breaks it, because it seemed to be working fine up until I attacked it, and then it just sat there until it was attacked again. But yeah, it's just a silly little thing. I reworked respawning mechanics a bit more so that everything has this global respawn mechanic, because previously only certain enemies were respawning. I've been just trying to make a lot of things more global, but it was important for rabbits because you can't really farm rabbit drops if rabbits don't respawn. Next up, an event system. This is not something I can really show you. It's just a behind-the-scenes thing, but it does have some implications. So if you know anything about Minecraft coding and a lot of other games too, there's events, which is basically the game says, oh, somebody chopped a tree. I will tell anyone who cares about the tree being chopped that. And then if you have an object like, I don't know, a quest tracker object that needs to know if you chopped a tree, it checks that and it's like, oh yeah, you chopped a tree. Now, we've got that for a few different things in the game right now. I reworked it so most of the quest logic now uses events. So most of the events in the game are just things that are few quests actually use, but it's easy to add more in the future. But the big thing about events is they are a big step towards mod support. It makes it a lot easier to add hooks in for APIs and stuff if you have events. So I've always thought about mods, but for some reason I never considered events as like a viable option in GameMaker. They always felt like a Minecraft thing to me, but then I realized, like, why not? I just Googled it, like, yeah, why not do this? And Google was like, yeah, why not do that? So then I did that. And now we have the event system. So I can pretty much guarantee that I'm going to make a strong effort to add modding in the future, because not only do we have the external map editor now, and we have the event system, I also went ahead and made it where it can load the item array externally, just because I added a little item editor into my map editor, and it made sense to be able to just export from there and then load the file instead of having to copy paste into a script every time. So yeah, and I'm going to do the same thing with recipes too. So yeah, this game is actually accidentally somewhat just getting the like the earliest hints of what could become a mod system when the game is finished, which is crazy. I didn't expect to be working on stuff like that. All right, next up, I'm not going to go into much detail on this, but I actually had a list of about 50 skills since the first episode came out, and I decided to just go ahead and add icons for all of them. There's 49 skills in the game now. I don't know if all of them will survive until release. I did try to avoid adding skills that I didn't have at least a good concept of what would make them unique enough to exist. Obviously, we have some silly skills like writing already, but I keep having funny ideas for a writing skill. Like, I actually had an idea for a literacy-related quest today that I want to add, but we need the maps made first. And I haven't started mapping because we need a lot more objects. But yeah, so we got 3 pages of skills. I don't feel like 50 is enough if I'm going to have 3 pages, though. I want to have the last page be mostly full. Obviously, you got to leave a little room for when you have random ideas in the future. But yeah, I don't think we will have less than 50 skills. I think we will have probably closer to 60 skills. Oh, it's crazy, but I have good ideas for what to do with most of them, and some of them will be pretty limited skills, but that's kind of the point of this game, is not every skill needs to be this amazing piece of content that you spend hundreds of hours for. It's just supposed to be things that exist that you do, and sometimes it's just things you do passively and you get experience for them. But yeah, I just thought that would be fun to finally get all those added. That way, anytime I feel like actually adding some content to a skill, I don't have to go and make the whole entry for it, make the art for it, think about things. It's already there. I just got to tie it in, and it's done. All right, next up, the upgraded dialogue system. I can't really show this off because I don't have much using the upgrades, but we do have the ability to recolor the dialogue box. We have the ability to see how many coins you have, and adventurer is technically your name, so it's using variables to load your coin count and your name in there. And we can have locked messages. There's a lot of different things. I can't remember them all, but basically the dialogue system is kind of full featured now. If you have no dialogue options, it doesn't even show that. It just makes the screen smaller, like this. Yeah, I forgot to mention that when we were reading it. Basically, I just tried to think of everything I needed for the dialogue system before I made the map editor, because the map editor has a dialogue editor built into it, because you do creation code in the map to set the dialogue for the NPCs, and editing that dialogue tree manually is a nightmare. It's why I hadn't added basically any NPCs, because just doing it is annoying. And it's still not, the most exciting thing, but it's at least not a nightmare anymore. But yeah, so we got a more full-featured dialogue system now. Next up, you might have seen it when we were in our inventory. We have a money pouch now. The 100's in a bit of a wrong place, but it exists. Basically, it's just an inventory slot that holds your money. You can still have money as an item, but why would you? Like there, we can withdraw 100. How do we put it back in? We got to do that. But yeah, basically the idea is, I was thinking about just letting it pull money from your bank when you shop, but I was like, you know what? The money pouch, it just makes sense. You can see your coins. It makes it a lot easier to check how many coins you have if you don't have to be checking everywhere. So now whenever, the thing on the sign and shops and stuff, it just adds your item inventory and your pouch together. It doesn't worry about what's in the bank. And it's nice, simple code, and it's convenient. And we had the space on the interface for it anyway. So I was going back and forth on it before I added it. From the very beginning of this game, I wasn't sure if I wanted the money pouch or not. But yeah, it just makes sense. Anyway, this is the big one. So I knew that the map editor was ready when I finally programmed doors and got one to work. Now, the door's invisible, and this room is nonsensical, but this is another room. So now we can travel in between those two rooms. The door's not connected to the same location because this was just for testing. But yes, that is the big feature. That is a room that has never existed in the room editor in GameMaker. That is purely from the map editor. And it's just a second bank in there. That's all it is. It's just some scenery I dumped in there so it looks a little different, and then a second bank. And you can tell it's a second bank because he says the second adventure is bank. Hooray. But yes, doors, huge. I am ready now to make like our first starter town. And I really have to think about the starter town because that's the thing about one of the reasons why I wanted to get all the skills in the game is because the skills kind of inform the features the town needs. Like, for example, because we have a heavy focus on knowledge, we've got intelligence, writing, literacy, there's going to be a speech skill, just all that stuff. Like, having a library as like one of the things that a lot of cities have makes sense. So I need to really have the world developed before I start setting the map in stone. Which is why I've still not started mapping despite having the map editor, though it's probably about time to at least make a test town, even if it doesn't become the official starter town in the future. But it's probably time. I'm probably going to keep putting it off, though, because it's more fun to add features. What else we got? I added multi-boost potions. I don't have one to show you yet, but basically I just had made potions limited to one boost. Now you could have a potion that boosts multiple things. Not super exciting, but it is what it is. You've already seen it, though. We have a new HP bar where it shows the actual numbers when you get close or whenever you target someone. Very convenient for actually knowing how much they have. It's kind of annoying how it's working right now. It thinks you're targeting that guy whenever it's the closest enemy is what's happening there. I'm still thinking about melee targeting, so that's kind of why it's buggy. I'm not sure if I want melee to always target, and if that means your attack spins around. It's something to think about. What else? Okay, so you would saw it inside the second room, but I actually have some over here somewhere. Yes, cliffs. So cliffs are a new shortcut using the same code as the log, so you can climb down, and you can climb up if you have the level. So that it's a dual-sided shortcut where the sides can have different level requirements. Get rid of this guy. And what's interesting is if you're running, you can automatically run down without pressing the button. It doesn't work for going up. And there is another interesting thing. Come on. Which is the Cloblin Raiders can climb up and down cliffs. Now, climbing up is slower, but yeah, I thought it would be fun if some enemies can use shortcuts. Like maybe a small enemy could follow you into there. I think that'd be fun. All right, sorry about that. I had a bit of a coughing fit there. But yeah, I thought that would be really fun, though. It was something I was thinking about from the very beginning of adding the log shortcut, was enemies being able to use it, because it always feels cheap in games where you take a simple shortcut and then that just gets you away from the enemies. Now, it's going to be very situational. Like the Cloblin Raiders, I gave them a dexterity level of 30, so they won't be able to climb every cliff, but I could also give them a varying level based on how strong they are. So maybe a high-level Cloblin Raider could climb anything. Who knows? Maybe they could follow you through the log. It's something I have to think about. Oh my gosh, he's still angry at me. But yeah, I thought that was a really neat addition, though. I basically just, when I was redoing shortcuts, I made it where it's a universal thing that can apply to any entity. So technically, even like an isopod could use a shortcut if I told it to. I haven't tested it, though. I've only tested it with the Raiders. But in theory, at least. Next up, improved drop tables. So you saw earlier the rabbits dropped that stuff. I redid the entire drop table concept. It works on a more actual table situation now. I don't think we have anyone we can kill to really show it off, unfortunately. But now it's actually like a cool drop system. If you're familiar with RuneScape drop systems, it's kind of similar to that, where you can have tables, you can have sub-tables. It can be anything, basically. You can have, like, there's a Pico shard subtable where it's just an even chance of each shard. So you can just say, this mage has a 10% chance of hitting the Pico subtable. And then they have a 10% chance of choosing any random shard to drop. It's very convenient, very nice, much better than any drop system I've used before. I just am very happy to have that in the game. It'll make actually setting up drop tables just so easy. Next up. All right, this is a spell that I added specifically just to add the menu for it. It doesn't actually do anything. This is the Pico form. So the entire point of this was to add this menu just so it could exist. So I realized it was like a day or two ago that I should really make it so that spells can be not tied to a single type of energy. So now we have the ability to choose what Pyco form you are. And I'm thinking Pyco form will be something like you get free shards. Like you spend maybe 10 shards to activate it, and then you get free shards as long as it's active in that type. I'm not entirely sure what the actual functionality of the spell will be. The point is, though, that now we have that menu. I could say some spells will maybe only have a few types. I haven't programmed that ability yet, but it shouldn't be hard to filter. So, I don't know, you could have Dark Lightning or something. Who knows? The point is we have that feature in now. It was just something I thought. Plus, I wanted art for all the types. I'm not happy with some of the art, but some of it's pretty cool. I really like the light type. The ice type kind of sucks. Metal sucks. Primordial being a bug in amber was just the best idea ever. I've always struggled with primordial energy on how to signify it. It's kind of this tannish green in Pyco Mundi, but I never really knew what to associate with, and a bug in amber kind of feels like the perfect thing. Mythic is the Stonehenge, not the best drawing of it, but it's hard to work with the size. Overall, I'm pretty happy with it. Lightning's kind of messed up, but you know, it was a rush job, just trying to get some things in there. Let's see, what else? You've probably seen it in my inventory. We have the telescope. This is another deployable. We're going to have an astronomy skill, so that's what this is. Right now, you can just look through it. It has a few random messages. But yeah, that's the entire astronomy skill right now. I have some good ideas for what I want to do with astronomy. It's a skill that doesn't feel like it could be much of a skill, but I think I can do it. We will see, though. And then actually we're on the very last thing on my list. This one's not really as much I can show off, but basically I had the idea that I wanted to add Sunkissed soda as an item. Not like literally Sunkissed soda, but an orange soda. So I did. We now have orange soda. It restores 3 HP right now. That's not going to be its final effect. That's just its placeholder effect. But the idea is I did some research on how somebody in like kind of I researched 1600s, but basically like a pre-industrial person could have invented soda and how they'd get all the supplies. And I added a lot of the items for that. Like we have what are they called? Not cocoa, coffee beans. We have coffee beans, which makes sense because we already had coffee, so being able to make coffee would make sense. We have coffee beans. We have the names are a bit hard to remember because some of them are like the old style names. Like we have acid. It's sulfuric acid, but they didn't call it that back then. They call it like vitreous acid or something. I might call it that in the future. But the point is, let's see, what is Fool's Gold? We have Fool's Gold here. We have Brimstone, which is just sulfur. But yeah, it's an entire process. It's not done yet. That's the thing. Right, we have the empty file, the file of fizz. But it's not done yet. I've just added the items right now. There's no actual crafting process to it. I'm probably going to need more items in the future to finish it. It's going to be an entire quest, basically, learning how to it. I already know the basic quest line for how it works. I'm not 100% certain the point of the orange fizz, besides that it'll probably be very popular with the NPCs. Yeah, but it's just a silly little thing I added. But yeah, that is everything for this week's update. It was a lot more than I expected because I expected to have a lot more issues with the chunk system, but it kind of just works so far. Not that I've pushed it to its limits very much. We're just kind of playing it safe. I haven't actually made a map. But just the fact that this debug screen works, it's mind-blowing to me. But it does remind me, I made a entire movement system for a Pokemon style game many years ago, and I was amazed that that just came together too. Sometimes things just work out, and it's very nice. But yeah, I'm not sure how long it'll be until the next episode or how many new features I'll add. I'm expecting a good amount. I don't know if I will start designing maps or maybe flesh out some of these skills that I have added. Maybe I'll invent some new skills. I don't know. But we will see, and I will try to do at least one video a week. That will be my current goal. We'll see if I stick to it. But I don't want to go too long between videos. So even if I don't make much visible progress, I will probably still do a video every week for the foreseeable future, unless something happens. Yeah, I'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye!